Dear friends, welcome to yet another installment of Strategic Power. In the last 4 decades or more, globalization has driven the world economy. After the end of the Cold War, what really gained speed was the economic union of the main nations. By adopting the North American Free Trade Agreement, we prepared ourselves to compete. Before we get started, if you haven't done so already, consider subscribing and tapping the bell to stay up to date and be notified when we release new videos. What made sense for businesses in terms of profit, costs, and efficiency was generally also supported by governments when it came to establishing complex global supply chains. The more countries collaborate, the more their economies connect, increasing the likelihood of peace between them, which is beneficial for the world. However, we are clearly no longer on that path. There is a lot of uncertainty about the future. At this point, it is said that the world economy is undergoing a major change. We are reviewing globalization and, to some extent, returning to regionalism, which changes everything. We are in the middle of a serious financial crisis. After the financial crisis, the traditional Western capitalist economic model was widely questioned due to the impact it had on ordinary people. In 2016, we witnessed Brexit, with the United Kingdom leaving the European Union, and the election of Donald Trump in the United States. This, in turn, triggered a major trade war between China and the United States. A global pandemic tested those global supply chains, leading many countries to reconsider offshoring production. We are seeing conflicts in the Middle East and coups in Africa, which makes people question the benefits of globalization even more. The Russian president, Vladimir Putin, did not directly provoke, but was responsible for triggering the crisis in Ukraine, with explosions shaking various cities, including the capital, Kiev. Russia's invasion of Ukraine was a crucial moment for people on both sides of this emerging divide in the global economy. In 2022, during the United Nations, there was a series of votes condemning the Russian invasion of Ukraine. It is considered an illegal invasion, an illegal occupation, and an illegal annexation, all done by force. About 2/3 of the global economy, led by the United States, voted in favor of condemning Russia. The remaining third included countries that abstained or voted against any condemnation. We are witnessing billions of dollars in investments in new factories now being driven by geopolitics, not just economics. This is evident when closely analyzing the vote at the United Nations. In 2022, we saw $1.2 trillion in foreign direct investment worldwide. Of those, $180 billion were reallocated from the group that refused to condemn the Russian invasion of Ukraine to the group led by the United States, which condemned Russian action. The International Monetary Fund noted that if there were a total break in the global economy, this would represent the elimination of 7% of global GDP. It may not seem like much, but it equates to eliminating the economies of France and Germany together. China remains the world's manufacturing hub. She offers a scale that no other place offers. In recent years, sentiment regarding investment there has become quite negative, but there is an entire global trade network that is based on the interconnections developed between the United States and China over the past 2 or 3 decades. Many people refer to this as making an omelette. If you are an American company, you will still rely heavily on many things made in China for many years. There is a group of economies that are navigating the middle of that geopolitical divide. They can be called intermediate economies. They are not taking sides. They are attracting factories from the US and China, often located near or in the same industrial park. They are importing from China and selling to the West, or vice versa. They can take advantage of their neutrality to profit from both sides in that growing rivalry. In northern Vietnam, for example, you can drive an hour from the Chinese border and enter what used to be a farm field with water buffaloes and banana trees. Now, large factories are seen being built where rice fields used to be, and people were farmers before. The people's quality of life has greatly improved, and it is better than when they were farmers. In the last 5 years, we have seen Vietnam's exports to the United States double, but at the same time, we have also seen China's imports to Vietnam double. Places like Poland are now receiving major investments from China and South Korea, and even from US chip manufacturers, as they position themselves as a link between Europe and the rest of the world. We are also seeing places like Indonesia, which has vast natural resources, attract Ford, the American automaker, and Chinese and Brazilian mining companies to exploit nickel mines to sell to China or the United States. If you are a country like Morocco, which has a free trade agreement with America and already has good relations with China, then you are obviously in a position to play both sides. Mexico is in the perfect position to take advantage of that so-called fragmentation. Located right on the US border, it is a classic example of nearshoring, but it is also attracting a lot of Chinese investment, allowing it to benefit from both sides of that divide. Many people say that what used to be made in China can, in the future, be made in Mexico. And now, we have the potential, if we organize ourselves, to bring back all those consumer products and electronics that were manufactured in China to be produced in Mexico. However, it is important to point out that in some cases, those intermediate economies still have a long way to go before possessing the necessary infrastructure. Roads, ports, power grids. Those are all important resources that global manufacturers want and need. China, of course, excelled at this for decades. Now other economies are trying to reach the same level. We are just at the beginning of this journey. The truth is that we are not witnessing the end of globalization, but a remodeling of the global economy. We live in an incredibly interconnected world. Business will continue to be done. Money will continue to circulate around the world. And although there are tensions between governments, companies will find ways to circumvent those political divisions. However, how it will be done and the direction we will take in the coming years will really shape our lives.